if you guys want to get it going with some questions, so now you've seen all of our excellent speakers deliver their speech, is there anything that's prompted your juices flowing with extra things that you would like to ask them? If you just want to pop those in the chat, then I'll make sure that I do that. But essentially, to kick us off, I'm going to ask you guys some questions. Okay, so anyone can take it. What was the best piece of advice that somebody gave you in the early part of your career as an SDR? To the floor.
I'm happy to jump in if that's
Go for it, Lucy. Absolutely.
I think somebody first told me in sales that it's champagne and razor blades, and I think that's absolutely the best thing to understand from the beginning. So yeah, I think that's carried me through both the highs and the lows. So that's the best piece of advice I got.
What's been a champagne moment for you then, Lucy?
A champagne moment has definitely been joining Refract. Which managers all loved hearing that. But yeah, joining Refract just because it's such an exciting space to be in, and yeah, have brilliant conversations daily. So it's a real champagne moment. So long may it continue.
Good. And how do you get yourself away from those razor blade moments? Because we all have them, don't we? That time when you're right down in the dumps, nothing feels like you're going your way. What is your go-to method?
Yeah, of course. And I think, like you say, the first thing that you do is really just take yourself away. Like if I'm having a terrible day, I just think, right, need 10 minutes, make a cup of tea, reassess. But then it's sort of like working backwards. So looking at the things that you've been sending out, listening back to calls that you've had and seeing what you can change and reflect to help you sort of grow from that moment on.
Perfect. I think that's some great advice, reflecting on your performance and taking out that time as a break. Has anybody else got some advice that they want to share that got shared with them in the early part of their SDR career or sales career?
Sure, I'd love to, Elaine. So when I was in Huddle as an SDR, one of my leaders, a guy called Ed Gedner, he was a Army major for 25 years and went into SaaS technology operations. He gave me advice on how to become a leader in the future, and it really sat with me. And this was something that I took with me, not as just an SDR, but as an AE through my career. I've still got the email from him from 2014 because I keep it safe because it was such great advice. So he said, take note of what you believe a good manager does or a great leader does, and see what you've witnessed here at this company. Don't just tie yourself to the sales managers and reps that you've worked under or with. Think wider business. What it is, their style, behavior, problem solving, coaching, speaking to people, etc. What it is about them and what makes them a good leader or a good rep. Identify those traits and use them and make it part of your style. But also identify those people that were bad leaders across any business. What was it that made them bad? What made them a poor rep? Note those things and ensure you don't bring those to the way that you do things too. And that's always sat with me because I'm always looking at what the great things are and the things that people could have done better and trying not to replicate those because we only, like I said, we only learn by doing.
Yeah, perfect. I think that leads into, one of the themes today around that point about always being curious, not only with your customers, but also like in the environment that you're in, because every day is potentially a school day if you've got your eyes open and you're observing what's going on around you. Have you guys got any advice that got shared with you, Will or Bryan? Bryan has. Go for it.
Yeah, the best one that was given to me, very simply, is it's not about you. Either when I'm selling, it's not about me, it's about them. Or when somebody responds badly, it's not about me, it's about them. But also when they respond well, it might not necessarily have been me. It could have been the overall thing. So it kind of helps me sort of humble myself and go, look, I got a bad email, great, not about me. I got a fantastic email, great, not necessarily about me. And if I'm reading those emails and I'm talking about myself, there's a problem. It's not about me. The messaging needs to be about them. So it's something that's kind of permeated through mine.
Great advice. Okay, cool. So next question. What have you got in your sales toolkit that you think helps you drive your prospecting to be successful?
No pitches. No self plugs here.
Okay. Choose something that we might not know about, because obviously we know about these platforms.
That's a good one. I guess the thing that I really look for is elements where I can maybe have a personal connect. So could that be, I don't know, we went to a similar school or something like that, or is there a certain thing that's quite interesting about them on their LinkedIn page that I can then use to really build that personal connect? And I guess relating back to the first question as well, someone said very early on, people buy from people. And I think that is really the crux of what I've kind of built my SDRing ideology upon, is that actually if I can find something to connect with them upon, then I'm going to be much more successful at booking a meeting or whatever it is that we're trying to do with that prospect.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so we have got a question from in the chat. So is an SDR an opportunity maker or a problem solver? What are your guys' thoughts?
Oh, why the or? Both. In more of a, you're finding people who don't know they have the problems.
Mm-hmm.
So an SDR will reach out with a very specific message. For us, let's just take a generic one of booking meetings. I'm pretty sure, most people here around, we can help you book more meetings.
So maybe you're both.
The different way of doing it is either, you have this problem and we help you solve it. So they create the opportunity of explaining to people, I can see because of the research that you have this problem. And then you create the opportunity by helping them solve it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another question from the chat. Somebody has got Claire Jacobs. Good luck. She's got a final interview for her first role as an SDR. Top tips to impress the director at this final stage.
Make sure you answer the questions in the interview. I've had it so many times where I think the question's been one thing and I've just not been listening, and it's been something completely different. So yeah, that's my one little top tip.
So don't let the nerves get the better of you. Focus on the question.
Yeah, my recruitment hat is definitely coming back on with this one. Best of luck, Claire, for the interview. And I'd ask them at the end of the interview, like, try and not be abrasive, but say, is there anything that you want to know more about me, or anything that or you have any reservations? That gives you a perfect opportunity for them to say, oh, I'm not sure I saw X, Y, or Z quality. And you can go, perhaps I wasn't so clear. I think I demonstrate my tenacity through doing this or whatever, but it's always kind of like a last chance saloon to sort of reveal a bit of your personality and reveal something and kind of win it back. So that would be my advice.
Yes. So I think from my side, I do these interviews like weekly at this point. And Lucy stole mine, because I was going to say the one question I'd always used to use at the end of an interview is, do you have any reservations about me taking this job above anybody else? And the idea is that you want to close. You want to show that you can close something, right? This is something you're going to have to do daily. So if they could see you doing that in an interview, you'll have no problems at all.
Definitely. And also send them a really strong follow-up as well. I think is always a good thing to receive if you're the interviewing person, but make sure you read it 3 times, put it down and go back to it, read it again before you send it. Okay. So I've got some more questions from the audience as well. But a question from me, how do you guys handle Q4 in terms of prospects that you're speaking to, trying to push things into next year? Because this year's obviously been a busy old year in lots of different ways. And I can imagine that people are heading towards the end of the year, getting that fatigue. How are you going to manage that in your prospecting?
I don't think anyone wants to take that. That's a hard question.
A tough one.
Really, really tough one. I think it is about keeping those kind of expectations there and actually finding prospects that their needs are right now, and it may be very quick now, but would we serve them best if we kind of push it through now, or would actually it be much better for them and for us if we do it later down the line? So kind of keeping it clear, and I guess keeping that communication there about actually how can we serve you best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being really realistic about the timescales. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things that businesses use now is mutual outcome plans, really understanding the timeframes and earlier understanding of when somebody needs to do something by. If you don't have an impending event, you kind of either have to make one or work with them on it, or you've got to really understand the values that you're actually bringing to the table and whether it's worth doing the deal. You can actually be a bit human about it as well. Most people know you're a salesperson. It's okay to say, this would mean a lot to me if we got it done in this time frame. There's just so many ways you could kind of use discounts. You could use loads of different things. But at the end of the day, if it's not the right deal, you don't want to be wasting time on it as well and have it slip through. Sometimes it's better to close it and reopen it later just to make sure that you're not wasting your time.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody today on the panel for your excellent speeches and then your answers to the questions there as well.